Welcome to my channel, Occosmik. My name is Sarah and I am a tarot and oracle card reader. So I have a tarot and oracle card reading here for you. It is absolutely intended as an open collective message. There is some information in my description box if you wanted to take a bit of a look at that as some kind of guidance for viewers. It might be that none of it resonates, some of it resonates, all of it resonates. So it's really important to please use your discernment when watching. So I'm just gonna get right into it because quite a lot of information. And there is this sense of like maybe sort of reaching but pulling, like pulling something through, which I mentioned in the previous reading that I posted, but I didn't really talk about it too much because I felt like I wasn't doing it justice. And it's kind of here in this message as well, but there is quite a lot going on here in the cards, and it has been a bit of a challenge for me to kind of get through, to pull the message together, right? To pull. So there's definitely some kind of broader theme or themes, and within that there is detail, and I think I am being shown quite a lot of detail. So I've had to sort of get my head around what the broader theme is or the broader circumstance, so I can put the details into context. I think it's been quite tricky in its ways. So there is definitely something about, like I was just saying, like this pull. It came through in the previous message as somebody trying to pull someone through to a future point, which sounds a wee bit abstract. I don't, maybe I'm feeling to mention it, so maybe I should just, I sort of understood it as somebody at a future point in time trying to pull someone else through to where they were. But this other person was already on their way to it anyway. And there was something about the other one trying to kind of increase the probability. It wanted to be expressed as probability. Wanted to sort of maximize the probability of the other one reaching them or getting to the same point as them. The point being a particular kind of just like a situation or a dynamic. But there was this stuff about perspective as well. So maybe to try and have someone arrive at their perspective or arrive at some kind of understanding that they were already in themselves. that was the thing about the future point, really. Is I don't really want to sort of say it was that one person knew something that the other didn't, but it kind of was that. But it was coming through as quite personal, in a sense. Well, it was kind of coming through as quite personal. So they knew something that this other one didn't, and they were trying to pull them through so they could be in it as well, or so they could know it. So the other one would know it when they arrived. So that's kind of here again. So it's like somebody is starting to feel the pull of that, but they are also starting to feel the push as well. It's because it's a direction that they're already going in. So it's like they're feeling a push in that direction, and they are also feeling a pull as well. So it's, although they're already moving in that direction, there is a lot of energy that is ensuring that they get there. Right, so right, because there is with the cards here, like with the cards that I've pulled for this one, the last one is this Dusk card. And we've got central to the spread, we've got Le Fool, got the Fool, number 0. First character in the Major Arcana. There is this next thing, there is something that is beyond whatever is kind of occupying and filling the space now. And the space, there's a lot of earth here, there's a lot of earth. It's quite an earthy deck. We're starting here with the King of Coins. It's the King of Earth. So there's very much like a particular energy now that I've written the next thing, what's beyond the coins, what's beyond a particular very kind of physical, material focus or focus. It's like that's very full, it's very there, but there is something beyond it. And I think this is what one is making their way to anyway and is being pushed, and the other one is trying to pull them towards. Okay, so there's that. There is as well, so there is this 9 of Cups, and this Cavalier Epees, the Knight of Swords. Okay, so the 9 of Cups is a card of fulfillment. It is known as a card of wish fulfillment. It has that association, which I often don't get with it, but it's very much that particular attribution, that particular meaning has very much come through with this one. So fulfillment of something wished for, and the Knight of Swords, the Knight of the air element, right, very much denotes like movement, usually quite swift movement, to be fair. Quite swift movement. So there can sometimes be a kind of inherent not warning. Bit heavy, is it? Well, you know, the movement can be very fast. The movement can be very fast, so it's like some wish fulfillment, something wished for that is water, right? So it relates to kind of emotions, think emotions, maybe with this manta ray here, like quite deep ones, or like some kind of emotional depth, perhaps a wish that's been made from a very deep place. But water is a changeable element, so it's saying like the wish fulfillment, the wished for thing that's winging its way. It is winging its way to you. To someone. It is different. It is a change from all this coins and earth energy. That's what I'm saying, like the focus is very coiny, material kind of resource, possibly money, like literal coin, yeah. It's saying the wish fulfillment is different from that, but it's indicating like it is coming. It's coming. So there was something about sort of divine timing, right? It's like the wish has been made and it comes from this sort of deep place. So the universe has seen fit to grant the wish. The universe is all on board with that wish fulfillment, right? So it's kind of winging its way to you. But divine timing, okay? Something about divine timing. Everything in due course, all has its time. Everything in its time. This is what I'm saying about the Knight of Swords. This is a relatively fast moving energy anyway. That's the nature of it. It's not a slow moving energy. So it's like something's coming in pretty fucking quickly anyway. Pretty quickly. Because there's something about like you're gonna get the wish. So like respect the timing of it. Respect the timing of the wish, because there is something here like fulfillment, right? There's something about, and with this King of Coins as well, talk about him in a bit. There is something about capacity. There's something about capacity and the ability to kind of hold, maintain and sustain like what you are wishing for, what's coming in, right? You're going to get the wish, respect the timing of it, but also like it's asking the question like, if you're wishing for something to happen quickly or sooner than it is divinely intended for it to play out, it's like, be careful what you wish for, because the power of that wish might speed it right fucking along. So it's like, you know, are you ready for what's coming? And with the capacity thing, it's like, do you have space for it? Do you have space for what's coming? Because it's coming. But the divine timing, everything in due course, everything in its time, it's like it will arrive when it is meant to arrive. Any trying to kind of hurry it along before it's ready, it could be detrimental to keeping hold of it, okay? To keeping hold of the thing. That's perhaps quite a deep desire. It would, deep fulfillment. It would bring deep emotional fulfillment. So deep emotional fulfillment. which is probably something that we would want to hang on to when we have it, wouldn't we? So are you ready for what's coming? Do you have space for it? Is kind of the capacity thing, right? So on that note, we'll start with these other cards in the spread. So the first one out was this King of Coins, Deniers. There is a lot with this, man. Not literally, man, right? It's a king, but please don't sort of gender it too much. So coins are representative of the earth element. So a king is a very well developed, mature energy in that particular element. Okay, it's kind of highest development in that particular element. So, and it's a court card, so they are more likely to signify people, I guess, maybe, because court cards, people. But it was a lot. There was a lot in this energy. It's just like there's a lot in it. So it was kind of suggesting a physical structure, circumstance, like situation, like a well-established situation, and there is a lot that makes that situation, that particular structure, up. There are a lot of components within that. There's a lot. It was honestly coming through quite heavily with sort of financial, material position and situation. I've underlined status here as well. Resources, means, but very physical ones. But there was more of an emphasis on the financial and material than there usually is. Because earth can represent literally tangible, anything tangible, right? Food, books, flowers, tables. I'm just naming the things that are around me. But you get what I mean? The things that are around me. So yeah, a physical circumstance, but it has got a lot in it. And that could be a broad spectrum. It could be somebody or people who have a lot of possessions. They might have a lot of books. They might have a lot of stuff in that respect, because all that's material. But the financial thing is a bit different, and the fact that I've kind of underlined status as well is kind of indicating, I think, maybe quite specific, abundant or affluent circumstance. But so that was like the broader thing, in a sense. Do I say that a lot? In a sense, there was that, and it could be one individual, but it's like it was kind of saying, right, financial, material status, and then things within that. A person within that. But so there was this I hope you can see it in the camera. There is quite a vague sort of figure in the background that once I'd seen it, I was like, what's that? What is that? What is it? Because it's there and it's kind of floating and it's vague, relatively vague. Well, it is vague, isn't it? You have to kind of really look. And I'm questioning whether you'd be able to see it in the camera, but hopefully you can. But it's just here next to this king's head. And that, it was a few things kind of went through my mind in terms of what that could represent, what that is, what it means. A few different things. And it was only kind of after a couple of days that I realised that I've got a deck of cards and I can just ask the cards what that is. So I got a lot of information about what that was without feeling any clearer about what it was actually indicating. But there was something about like the vagueness of the one in the background and the kind of bright colours and stature, the quite definitive stature of this one in the front. So what it was initially communicating was this idea of, like I said, like a broader thing of financial and material status and different people who have that status and how they show up in the world or in their lives. Because there was this idea of I got like Ghost of Christmas Past which just immediately brought in Scrooge, right? The idea of somebody who has a lot of means and has a lot of resources, has a lot of abundance, but it's like they're full to capacity. This is where the capacity started coming in again. They're kind of absolutely full, satiated. There's this thing about satiation as well. They are supplied with as much as or more of something than is desired or can be managed. It's almost like they've actually got a bit too much, or they've just got a lot. They've got a lot. They've got a lot of resource. They've got a lot of means with which to do something. They maybe have a lot of money. They've got like a high status, maybe because of that, because of those things. But he's a king, right? And there's this gemmy crown here, so maybe like social status or some kind of official rank. Because Ghost of Christmas Past, it brought in the idea of like miser, obviously with Scrooge, but Midas and miser, like kind of archetypally Midas and miser, because it's like they're both in this, right? So, but because it's like two that are in this same abundant energy. They are both in this abundant circumstance. One of them shows up in all this kind of regalia, and pomp was another word that I was getting. They show up in all of this sort of finery. They exhibit their abundance. Whereas this other one is kind of in that same abundance, but it's like it's much more well, just like low key. It's just low key, but they're still in it, right? So there was something about the degree of contrast between the two, because, right, hang on, I've not explained that properly. So the miser was actually coming through as this one, who's this really abundantly kind of in all their regalia and all of that. And then the Midas was coming through as this one, this more low-key one. Right? That was my understanding of that. It's like they're in this one is kind of in this particular kind of material wealth and abundance as well, but it's like you have to kind of look for him, or it's just not displayed. It's not displayed anywhere near the degree that this one is. So there was, yeah, the degree of contrast between the two. So then degree, like the definition of degree, the amount, level or extent to which something happens or is present. But I've underlined present, something about presence. So that was that fair, and that's what I kind of thought the message of this card was. Right, so a miser, a person who hoards wealth and spends as little money as possible. So that's Scrooge. But then this other one who is just similarly abundant is the Midas. Which, right, so from the idea of King Midas, which is the ability to make money out of anything one undertakes. It doesn't have to be money though, it's like generating abundance. They have a kind of magic touch in terms of generating abundance, but they're super fucking lucky about it. It's like you can see them, but there's this like looking. But when I actually asked the cards, oh, hang on, there was something else about, because they're wearing a crown. This one's wearing a crown. Yeah, the true crown is that of the Fool, which is coming up in a bit. True crown is that of the Fool, which this coming through is like very spiritual energy. Yeah, I've put spirit is unencumbered by the coin. Unencumbered by the coin, then. But, right, and because this one is coming through in this kind of vague way, and this is like being encumbered, there's something about this weighing down, or kind of, it's like they're very in it. It's that they have more, so there's more to look after, there's more to tend to, there's, you know, there's more time and energy that needs to be put in kind of putting all this together, or appearing a certain way, or investing to appear a certain way. It's like a lot goes into that it slows them down. It slows them down. They're perhaps very slow to change, or the wider circumstance that they represent is very slow to change, because there's just all these different kind of components and parts to it that just add this kind of weight. So from the book for this, got from vast resources one can accomplish and enjoy much, including displaying and sharing one's assets. But because of the whole Midas miser thing, it feels like a bit like hoarding, like they're hoarding all the veg so they can decorate themselves with it. So it's like they could do that, right? They could share their assets. They could accomplish much. I think the thing is that they're enjoying much. They're enjoying much. Perhaps they're accomplishing much as well. But the poison for it was, can you enjoy what you have and will you use it wisely? That's the idea of like, that's where satiation, satiety started to come in. Incapacity, generosity, openness. So there's a lot going on. I'm confused talking about it, and I've already been filming for half an hour. Got loads of cards. So that was all that all came through, right? It's perhaps how two people who share a particular kind of wealth of physical resources or money, like they have that in common, how they show up in very different ways. But you know, take it as it applies. It could be talking about a much larger structure, different groups of people, like social rank, things like class. It could be kind of talking about that. Okay, but because even though all that information came in, I was still like, what? With all the other cards, I don't know, I was just, it wasn't feeling to be the main message, the whole Midas Miser thing. It's like, in a way, it's kind of apparent. In a way, it's kind of apparent. So when I pulled a card asking what this figure was, I got La Force, I got strength. So I'm going to read from the book. I did get Don't Be Foolhardy. Don't be foolhardy. Do you remember saying about the swift speed with which something is coming in anyway? It's like there's a need to kind of bear that in mind, prepare for that, be ready for that, make space for that for when it lands. Yeah. So it's not necessary to kind of rush. In fact, it's kind of advising, like, do not rush. If momentum is already kind of building, if momentum is well and truly kind of going for it, there's actually a bit of a recommendation of like, don't be like recklessly bold and rash. Just La Force, this is about inner strength. There's a lot of like self-control and holding back with this. So I'm going to read from the book. Right. La Force. Right. Hold on. The Strength card has changed its name and the Strength card has changed its name and its iconography throughout history. It's been Fortitude, which implies courage and persistence, and it has been Force, either the neutral capacity for influence and action of physics, or the violent quality of compulsion. In early tarot decks, card 9 always depicted a person and a lion, sometimes with a building column, but in a succession of evolutions, the Strength card became a mashup of pagan antiquity heroics with Christian virtues. Vestiges of Hercules and the pelt-wearing animal killer and Samson, destroyer of temples, eventually disappeared and gave way to a femme personified strength in an ambivalent embrace with a living lion, sometimes forcibly opening or closing his jaws, other times astride or caressing him. Fortitude was considered one of the 4 cardinal virtues of the classical world, with wisdom, justice and temperance being the others. Cicero, writing in the last year of his life, 44 BCE, Julius Caesar assassinated, and the Republic of Rome careening into empire, in 4 weeks composed De Officis, a treatise that would endure for centuries to guide those resisting the use of power for the private advantage of the few. Say that again, right? So Cicero had written a treatise that would endure for centuries to guide those resisting the use of power for the private advantage of the few. Something about power coming up here. Fortitude is the considered undertaking of dangers and endurance of hardships. Cicero innovated from Aristotle, who saw fortitude as simply resolve in the face of death, and subdivided fortitude as having the components of magnificence, confidence, patience, and perseverance. La force is most accurately rendered from French into English as strength. A fact worth asserting in an English language book, as many an Anglophone may even against their will have other cultural associations with the word force. Some people can only feel strength when it meets resistance, overcomes obstacles, overpowers something else, wins a competition, or destroys enemies. But the strength of the drowned world is both force and fortitude, collaborative, internal, stabilising and enduring. Here, strength unambiguously is arising from partnership and connection. The femme and the lion are not forcing each other to do anything, and together they remain with heads above the water. So the medicine. May you have strength over what would harm you, strength with those you find yourself, strength to shape your own life, strength within to abide and persevere. Poison. Beware attributing an inherent value to a force of physics. Strength isn't inherently good or bad, though cultivating it to achieve purpose is wise. Beware, this is kind of advice, is this? Beware thinking yourself weak when you feel kindness or empathy, or are exhausted, sick, or comparing yourself to someone else's productivity. Beware of others using force against you. Okay. So, because it's coming through as describing this one. So I think it does describe them. If it is an individual that's doing something with resources, wealth, they have the means to do something. It's talking about them. It's what I've just read in the book. But to be honest, the other, right, because they keep their heads above water. It's kind of like visually, because it's like this head is sort of under the water, and it leads into the water of this card, and then this woman and this lion is here. It was kind of, it's the water. It's it's like the wish fulfillment, isn't it? It's like the deep wish fulfillment. It's almost like a bit of a daydream, or a bit of a, like, almost like a thought bubble. Or bearing someone in mind. Bearing someone in mind. Because all the flowers, so I think they've got something to do with that. There's also something, like, it came out with this gecko card. So this is where association started to come in. There was something about, like, size doesn't mean power. Like, the gecko is really small. But because for that reason it can kind of go under the radar, it can go unnoticed, can stay under the radar and go unnoticed because of that small size. So big, like, just because something is big doesn't mean it has power, doesn't automatically strength, right? It's about recognizing, like, the different types of power, the different types of strength, the different ways that shows up, the values of that, the virtues of that, which is maybe being displayed by somebody more than one person. I don't know. But there's something about this gecko, how it can move very quickly, it can outmaneuver predators by kind of, because of its small size, right? So it can kind of climb on ceilings, it can climb up walls, climb vertical, horizontal, over stuff. It can detach its tail. It's this adaptable, it's kind of evolved to be sort of tactically sacrificial. Tactically sacrificial. Because the tail grows back. Holding back from something could be a bit of a sacrifice then, actually. Holding back from something, not being recklessly bold or rash and sort of steaming. You know, it might take quite a lot to kind of hold oneself back, which could be a bit of a sacrifice, but ultimately, like, the tail will grow back again. It's like it will come back. Something, the opportunity isn't lost, it will present itself again. It just needs time. It needs the time, right? Divine timing. It just needs the time. And there's that idea again of, like, you know, are you ready for what's coming? Is there some... It's like he can't, because there's so much, he's so weighed down, he's got all of this regalia, he can't move around like the gecko, and he can't move around, I think, like this one, who is just, because it's coming through as a ghost, just this, a suggestion of, like, lightness, right? Lightness. It's like they're not weighed down. They can move. They can be flexible. They can move. They can move in many different directions. It's like this king is fixed, right? It's fixed. Because it's like, being fixed in position because of there's so much stuff. Like fixed in that sense, yeah. Like weighted down. So the next card that came out was this 9 of Batons, 9 of Wands. So this is the fire element. There's all this seasonal squash, like there was with this, with the Kings, all this seasonal squash. But so the 9 of Wands is, it's a card of battle, but it's usually battle. It's often depicted as like an individual with a wand and they've got a bandage or they've got some kind of wound because they've just been going at something, you know, like it's kind of battle in that respect. But no, I mean, it, you know, it's a card of almost like battle wariness. It's like it's been going on that long. Been going on that long. There's just a kind of, and in like it's wearying. It's like a wearied, battle-worn warrior kind of energy. This was coming through as like the battle, the fight. And this is where I started to get a bit confused, I think, with what was being communicated to me. Okay. So I've put in my meditation, I got an enhancement in sight. The means by which a thing is made visible tells the true value. And then I've written the degree of contrast here. So is the true value the degree of contrast? Is the true value how present something is or how present someone is? That's part of it somewhere, because that's about the capacity. Are you ready for what's coming? Do you have space? Do you have space? Have you got so much to tend to? So much to look after that there isn't space for anything else? I've also written down the numbers 14, 11 and 9, and then 16 and 10 and 9. Because I was counting things again. I was counting the elements of the card and I counted them incorrectly the first time. So when I recounted, it was 16, 10 and 9. Which in the tarot would be the Tower card, the Wheel of Fortune and the Hermit. 16 is the Tower, 10 is the Wheel of Fortune, 9 is the Hermit. But the 14, 11 and 9 in the tarot, so 14 would be temperance, 11 would be strength, the fortitude, and 9 would be like prudence. So we're like virtuous. The degree of contrast. Right, so with this one, growth at high velocity attains a force that seems unstoppable, and yet that which would oppose it seems to gather strength through resistance. So what I was saying about the wearied soldier depiction in this card, right? A kind of wounded warrior. The point is they keep going. They do keep going with things. And it's that idea of, because they keep going, they build strength. And even though, because it's like a battle energy, so they're meeting with resistance, they do keep going. And that's how they build their strength. How they build their strength. Not just physically, right? Because mentally, to just, I mean, I just do not think is it widely kind of just spoken about how hard it is to kind of keep on going with things sometimes. Just, do you know, for that, because it's tiring, it can be wearying, like mentally, emotionally, physically. So there's so much kind of value in keeping on going, regardless of what the outcome is, right? Regardless of what the outcome is. Because really, like, truly kind of how you shape yourself and who you become through the doing it, through taking the action, through the keeping on going, is like the fucking gold there, right? So strength through resistance. Right? Opposing a force that seems unstoppable because there's growth at high velocity. I've put might does not make right and bulk does not make strong. That's the point of the gecko here. Right? Bulk does not make strong. Heavy armour can slow us down. Something about clout there, isn't there? Something about like the clout of resource or the clout of fucking coin there. Might does not make right, bulk does not make strong. It's like the coins aren't the strength. I think that's the point being made here. It's like the coins aren't the strength. Some people might wear it as armour. They might kind of wear it as armour, use it to defend themselves, but it's not the true strength. All it really does is wear them down. The true strength is up here, right? Okay, and then this came out with the grasshopper. Grasshopper. So grasshoppers only jump forward, and when they do so without uncertainty, because they can't jump back and they can't sort of turn. They can't jump to the left or jump to the right. They can't jump in the line. Right, they can only jump forward. Okay. So I've put moving forward, an adventure, but the adventure is pointing the other way. There's something about, like I was saying, the fulfillment, the deep emotional fulfillment is other to, well, it's emotional fulfillment, right? So it's different from whatever fulfillment resources and physical resources and coins and such things bring. It's different. That's the new adventure, because it's pointing over here. The leap is actually in this direction, because next we've got the Fool. This is like Le Fool, central to the spread, man, central to the spread. And there is something about like, it's almost like on one hand and on the other. On one hand, on the other. It's like it's saying, yes, yes. This is elemental air. It's coming through super sort of spiritual energy. Possibly even like the living spirit of somebody, you know? The spirit of a living person is kind of almost trying to do the pulling through. The pulling with the emphasis on the hands. they're trying to pull through. They're trying to pull somebody else through. They're trying to pull somebody else through. Is it this one? There's something about that because of the water. Pull someone through to a future point in time, which is a point of new adventure. It's like a new beginning with the Fool. 0. It's new. Right, I'm going to read Le Fool from the book once I've paused for a second. Okay. All right, Le Fool. Let's go. Here we go. Number 0. Right, let me get this. Across an enormous section of the planet, Imperial Rome seemed an inexorable, conquering, colonising, occupying force for nearly 1,000 years. Until it wasn't. Okay? Though now crumbled, the rubble of Roman legacies, tragedies, language, efficiently engineered architecture of oppression and resource extraction still haunt many a modern nation. Whenever confronted by that ancient empire's spectres and shades, consider that the Romans, for all their might and ingenuity, never managed to conceive of, employ, or meditate on the notion of 0. They could only ever see the use of numbers to stand in for things and to tally the price of goods and taxes to fund the army. What and where is 0? Nothingness is the state out of which anything can arise, and as a number in relationship to a sequence of things, 0 is free and outside of it. Spirit's unencumbered by the coin, right? Unencumbered by the coin. So the future point might be where someone is unencumbered by the coin in some way. It often comes first, but also appears last when a group of numbers are coaxed into a line. Right, the Fool. So the Fool is number 0. First character of the major arcana, going out on their journey. They go on their journey, they complete a cycle at the world, 21, and then they're back to 0, they're starting something else, okay? So the Fool does not mean foolish. There was something about being careful not to be foolhardy and kind of rush in, but the Fool is actually incredibly wise. Right, so there's something here. If we think of the Fool and their 0 as being a prelude or prefirst in the hierarchically arranged order of the major arcana, and the Fool as a neophyte or newbie at the beginning, compared to the greater sum integers as have the adept and accomplished magicians and emperors, then let us consider Shoshin. In Japanese Zen Buddhist teachings, Shoshin is beginner's mind. A state to be deliberately cultivated. Deliberately cultivated. So as well, even for the one who shows up differently without all the regalia in this abundant energy, they're still in this abundant energy, and I said it's very slow to change. It can be very fixed. It can wear down, and it can wear down. But there's this idea of cultivation as well, right? But not necessarily like cultivating more resources or things like that. It's like, if anything, full to the fucking brim with resources in a sense, yeah? It's kind of, the thing to cultivate is this beginner's mind. and it has to be deliberately cultivated and practiced. As the 20th century teacher Shunryu Suzuki counselled, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. Okay, so it's like somebody could be so fixed in beliefs and ideas that they are surrounded by it. Kind of is manifold in the way it presents itself, right? It's all everywhere around them. There is some kind of need to or a recommendation to sort of get into a bit more of a beginner's mindset. Don't lose your expertise, right? It's basically like acquire new perspectives, or at least kind of be open to them, be open to the new perspectives. Right, so the medicine. The fool's freedom is one of inherent and infinite potential. Untethered and unshackled, not weighted down, not weighted down. The fool takes only what they need. Often depicted actually as like a figure with a kind of a small bag on a long pole. And he's kind of carrying it over his shoulder, yeah. Packs light because they're flexible, they're adaptable, they move around, right? Something been saying that some aspect or element of this is not that. It's really making that contrast. It's that degree of contrast between the two again, isn't it? The degree of contrast between the two. The fool embarks on beginnings and new beginnings and escapes and escapades. So with this dusk card as well, it's like riding off. The fool rides off into the sunset and the sun rises. They're going on an adventure. It's like on the one hand, there's all this kind of fixed coin, resource, material energy, and on the other, there's some kind of sort of deeply fulfilling adventure. It's an adventure. There's a departure point is coming, right? The fool is at liberty, yet also cheerfully accompanied. So it could be, there is a bit of a thing of duality here. It could be that there's somebody like going on an adventure with somebody, yeah? The movement of exploration and growth is not just the open road or the big adventure, but sometimes subtle and rhizomatic. The poison. Freedom defined by some philosophies would be more correctly indicted as individualist irresponsibility. Examine your actions' impacts on the interdependent whole. There's a difference between constructively suspending disbelief to be entertained and having blind faith in that which ought to be closely inspected for flaws. Something, because I'm talking about like detail here. Complexity. Don't take it at face value. Or maybe this is just saying like there's something in it. That thing about the numbers, the means by which a thing is made visible tells the true value. And I counted once and then I had to count again. It's like checking something. What was like checking something to... There was something about it being wise to assess before moving forward, because once that move was made, there'd be no going back. That was another message of the grasshopper. Something to do with the coins. It's wise. Something to do with this King of Coins energy and all that it could represent that I've been talking about. There's something about it being wise to check or assess something before moving forward, because maybe something's been miscalculated or something has been underestimated or missed. So that's the other thing about don't be foolhardy. Don't be foolhardy, and don't rush forward, right? Don't get caught out by something, because once a particular sort of step's been taken, you can't untake the step. Okay? So look before you leap towards with whatever this King of Coins broader thing is. Okay? It's definitely like a broader thing going on there, broader than an individual. But with the Fool, it's like there's a recommendation to fucking like leap towards the new adventure. It's like trust your intuition, leap towards the adventure. Okay, right. 106:27. Right. So the Fool. So I was getting, so it's elemental air. It's representative of the planet Uranus as well. Uranus rules electricity. Because the Fool is central in the spread, it felt a bit like the Fool was, which I think I've already mentioned, is the Fool trying to do the pulling through? Is the Fool trying to explain something? There's this idea of like tentacles, but not in a creepy way. Not in a creepy way, more like maybe like fingers in lots of pies, or just denoting like orchestration, or maybe like pulling strings, but it's kind of to show something. None of that feels quite right to say. That could be something that's going on as well. But mind you, orchestration, pulling strings, it's that idea of like pulling again, but like maneuver. Like when you're riding a horse or on a sledge, right? And there's something when you like pull strings, isn't there, to kind of, I don't drive, can you tell? You pull a string to kind of, I mean, I don't ride on a fucking horse either, to be honest. But, you know, to kind of pull, to steer in a direction, a particular direction, right? Which is this future point. It's this future point. Something about like pointing in the right direction. But it's like on the one hand there's this, on the other hand there's this. There's maybe needs to be more awareness that there is this other, that it's this future point. It's what I was saying at the beginning about someone knowing something that somebody else doesn't, and so they're trying to, it's like they're trying to get them into a position to tell them. Because I said, right, it's like the Fool's trying to explain something. It's like trying to communicate something that is like beyond, it's beyond the coins. It's the next thing. It's after the coins. Oh. But yeah, pointing out the new cycle. Just pointing out the new cycle. Beginning in capital letters. I've put following a tune / making one's own. But also the possibility of something happening, or of someone doing something in the future. Someone's trying to increase the probability. They're trying to maximize the probability of someone making it to a certain point. But the person that they are trying to support and encourage to do that is making their way there anyway. Maybe they have to navigate coins. Maybe they have to navigate coins. Maybe that's what this was about. This So the Midas, the kind of the yeah, right, the one, not the miser, right? We've talked about the miser enough. The other one, the Midas touch, the Midas touch, the fingers, right? The Midas touch. What was I saying? Yeah, right, okay. And there was something like they're in the water, and it's like they're kind of almost dreaming or thinking about this other one. They are trying to maximize the probability of something happening or from someone doing something in the future. It really came through as probability in another message, not an online one. It was like someone trying to maximize the probability. It really wanted to be expressed as probability, because the point was that the probability of it happening was already high. It was higher than usual, was how it was expressed. But now it's like someone is trying to, yeah, increase the possibility of something happening or of someone doing something in the future. So that again, that might be a bit of a like divine timing. It's like it's coming, it's happening. It's like there might be a way to help it along that is more supported now. There might be something that can be done. This may be part of the orchestration, like something that can be done that helps things along without rushing it along. Because if this one is showing up as strength, it's like they've got self-control, they've got inner strength. It's like they either won't be rushed or can't be rushed. There might be something about that as well. It's so it's respecting that as well. It's respecting that, but it's making sure that there is space for them when they arrive. Okay, not being too busy, not having too much to tend to, literally not having like space, like time or space in your life for anything else to come in, because there's so much already there. Light, pack light with the Fool, right? Going on an adventure. Oh, okay. Yeah, and like the VIII, it came out with the moon, with the moonstone, which this was all talking about higher thought, spiritual connection and higher consciousness. So the orchestration, all of that energy, and I'm talking about like the spirit of a person, it's all very like, it's higher, man. It's higher. If it is like a connection with a person or a group of people moving into a new experience, it's fucking big. It's big. It's big. It's very spiritual. There was something about the moonstone kind of corresponds with the crown chakra as well. That was where the Fool wears the true crown. Okay, the true crowns aren't the ones made of gems. It's like this spiritual thing. The crown chakra is all about like higher consciousness, like connection, and it's associated with the colour violet, which I've written here, the moon, because that came up in another reading as well. Violet, about how two had, they both had this violet, they both had this lunar characteristic, they both have this higher thought. They have a spiritual connection. That's why the universe is like, fuck yeah, grant that wish. Spiritual connection. Got colours in the card as well. Violets and pinks. It's very crown chakra, hearty crown. But it's like, it's the universe, fuck yeah, that wish, because it's just this really it's really like spiritual connection. Maybe that's what's been pointed out, or it's the orchestration is happening from some higher thing. Even if people are consciously doing it, they are like tapped into some shit there doing that. Okay. Yeah, there's stuff about octopuses as well. The idea of like, because they're adaptable, right? Because they can change colour and form. They've got dexterity. They've got 8 arms. Might be something about the number 8 specifically as well. 8 is coming next. Dexterity and work. Because the 8 of coins is coming next. More coins. Different there though. And it's also like octopuses are resourceful and strategic hunters. So all of that. All of those attributes, man. Adaptable. And because they live in the deep sea, there's a symbolic connection with like sort of deep intuition as well. Connected to emotions, deep sea, deep emotions. Fulfillment of deep emotions. Is that what's being explained? Right. There's a fulfillment of deep emotions, and it's this big spiritual connection. I think so much so that it's like there's stuff happening with it that may or may not be. I mean, it may or may not be. Take it how it applies. Like, be in a person's conscious awareness that they're doing something. It's perhaps quite likely that it is, like, they know it's the idea of orchestration, but it's also that there's this other, there's more to it. It's really vast. It's got really vast potential, and that's why they're pulling through, right? And the idea of probability, trying to maximize probability. It's like, once you get someone to a certain point that they're on their way to anyway, but you get them to a certain point, it's like the potential is fulfilled, right? Yeah, okay. So the 8 of coins, this one kind of had me stumped a little bit, but I've just said about dexterity, and the 8 of coins can very much talk about work. It's very practical energy. So yeah, like work. But in the book, they use the example of, they say the designer of the prototype really makes their mark and fortune once the multiples roll off the assembly line. So there's something about that. There's something about the specific type of work. Maybe something about that idea of keeping on going with something. You know, that I was saying with the 9 of Wands. Keeping on going with something. There was also something about putting knowledge into the hands of the common people, the authors of the deck. Putting knowledge into the hands of the common people. But there's this idea of like repetition, like doing something over and over again. Doing it over and over again. And it's work. It's really practical. It's a practical, tangible thing, and it's got this repetitive vibe to it. So I think there was something about careful not to overdo something, because the eights, because it's an 8, it was talking to me about like moderation and balance as well. So again, it's that thing about capacity. If we're talking about, say, the King of Coins is an incredibly busy, incredibly full schedule, lots of stuff to do, busy person. Might be their work, but it's like, it's either suggesting moderation or it's saying there will be, because that is what will create the capacity. It doesn't mean loss, it's coming through as moderation and balance. So whereas this could maybe be like a bit too much, just very full, it's like this is like just taking it down a notch, because it frees up some space to let in this flying wish. Flying wish. Okay, and it came out with Datura, which is like a really potent but poisonous plant. So this was like saying, yeah, not too much. Yeah. Not too much. Don't do it too much. Like Datura is taken by people, like particularly in shamanistic cultures, to astral travel and to commune with spirits. Oh my God! To commune with, oh, the work, right? The work. The work someone is doing. The work is where the spirit comes through. Like communing with their own spirit. It comes through in the work, okay? Some practical work, tangible work, but it comes through, their spirit comes through in the work. Maybe not too much, but it comes through, right? Because they have a vision. But again, there's this like, just with Datura, it's like, but not too much. But because it's poisonous, right? So it's like you have to be careful. And like that vast spiritual energy, it's like it has to be in the right hands, okay? It has to be in the right hands. It has to be, you have to know how to handle it, otherwise it can be a lot. It's like don't overdo it. That is there, don't overdo it. Also, like intoxication, like don't be kind of intoxicated, I think, by the glitz, glamour, maybe, glamour, or the coin generally, right? Everything that I've been talking about, the coin representing, it's like, be cautious of intoxication by that. Be cautious of that. But really interestingly, I got Hexa and the number 6. 6 is a perfect number, and it's a perfect fucking number. And it came up in a reading about in August 2023 because there was a really rare lunation. It was a supermoon, blue moon, proper blue moon in Pisces in August 2023. And the message that I got through, in that was beautiful. I mean, something really beautiful was happening, or was in the pipeline, was winging its way. But it was this really, really spiritual, vast message. This energy was in it, actually. It was really vast, really significant. It was like about two who had known each other for a long time. in spirit, right? But it was like the living spirits were kind of, you know, so spirits of people, embodied people, kind of rushing towards each other before the mind had a fucking clue what was going on, you know. It's like spirit was on it. It was gorgeous. But it was 6, the idea of 6 and it being a perfect number and how rare perfect numbers are came up in that reading. And then it came up here. 6 perfect numbers. And I've got a hexagon on my t-shirt today. I really wanted to wear this t-shirt. That's why. The 6, the hexagon. My boob. Right, okay. Datora. Okay, the last one. The last cards. It was this 9 of swords. Nine of Swords. So actually we've got the 9 of Cups, the 9 of Wands and the 9 of Swords. The 9 of Coins is the one that isn't here, but there's all these coins over here. But the 9 of Coins kind of indicates really a lot of like material sovereignty and independence. So maybe that's something that comes later, that maybe that's the future point. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. This 9, right, so it was interesting. I got the word superlative with this, which is from Latin superlatus, which means carried beyond. This is the point. This came out with the dusk card. This is the point beyond where we're being carried beyond whatever all this focus of the coins is on, or at least a particular phase of it, yeah? A particular kind of chapter of it. It's like superlative, like carried beyond, or superlatus, the Latin meant carried beyond. In modern usage, superlative means of the highest quality or degree, or something or someone embodying excellence. They're the definitions that I felt to write down, so they're the ones that are relevant. There are others. It's, oh yeah, man, it's like the new, like everything I've just been saying, it's like the new thing, the new adventure, the next thing that's beyond the coins is like superlative. It's of the highest quality or degree. If I was talking about like the contrast of degrees in this card, it's like the highest quality or degree. But it's this emotional fulfillment and this big spiritual thing. So of course it's the highest quality. Of course it's the highest quality or degree. See, it's really, yeah. And something or someone embodying that, embodying the excellence of that. There's someone, it's like going on an adventure with someone. But there's a big soul, spirit thing. And heart, because I'm tapping my heart. Right. So with this 9, so this was saying rituals that the authors say, rituals that put resources to effective use, repay the celebrants with more than the sum of their parts. There's something about the ritual maybe being this, that is putting resources, because it's work. There's something coming through in the work. So the ritual, right, when you do something over and over again, it can become a bit ritualistic, or you can make a ritual out of it, right? So yes, you might be doing something that's quite repetitive and quite practical, work-based, but it's got this spiritual energy embedded in it that's a resource, right? Because swords are air, like I was saying, the Fool is elemental air, so it's got this spiritual aspect to it. That's the resource here. And then devotion plus ceremony rewards the faithful and the patient. So it's that thing again about not trying to rush something that is already relatively quickly making its way through the cosmos anyway. It's like it's coming in, trust that. Be faithful, right? Keep the faith with that and be patient, which I mean, it's really hard being patient. It can be really challenging. It can be one of the hardest things, just being patient, waiting for things. But you nearly always find out why that patience was necessary. You will get to the point where you realise exactly why it couldn't be rushed, it couldn't come in any sooner, why you had to be patient. It always shows itself. Right, but it's fucking frustrating just sometimes, isn't it? Like having to wait and be patient. Keep the faith. And then suspending doubt and disbelief can sometimes dispel unwarranted fears as well. But the thing that came through my meditation was clearance that makes space for what's to come. So it's like there is a point here, because I was seeing it as like a haircut. Just in that, you know, like trimming back, like tying in bunches and all the swords. It's like trimming to clear. And I mentioned a broom at the end of my last reading, and just how they generally symbolize like clearance, clearing energy. So it's the point of clearance that makes space, or it clears the way, right? It just kind of clears the way to ride off into the sunset. Yeah, I've put like flashes of insight that cut through. So if something, and again, what I was saying here, like flashes of insight that maybe come through the work, and it sort of, as the insight comes through, it starts to clear it. Clearance of the mental space. I've put haircut. Maybe clearance rituals. Right, which again, it doesn't have to be sort of ceremonial. Maybe, because I've said ceremony here, it doesn't have to be like a ceremonial kind of ritual thing. All the stuff. It could just be like clearing your space out, because there's a corresponding thing there as well. You know, when you have a good fucking spring clean, you get rid, it really clears your mind. It kind of clears your energy, you know, like energy can kind of just be in objects and things. So when we kind of clear it down, clear it out, move it out, yes, it clears physical space, but it clears mental and emotional spaces as well. It's it kind of invigorates, it clears, you feel lighter. Okay, so yeah, the sun sets so it can rise again, a new cycle. Right, there's something that I will say kind of quickly, with all the pulling through and one person or a group of people take it as it resonates, one person trying to kind of metaphorically or figure it, you know, they're basically trying to pull someone through to where they are. which doesn't have to be like a geographical thing. But it's like it's emotional and spiritual. It's emotional fulfillment in quite a deep way, and spiritual fulfillment in quite a high way. There's all this kind of coins, like material, resource, means, status, maybe, to kind of get through, or there's a particular kind of chapter of that, segment of that it's like there's a bit of keeping on going, but it's like you kind of keep going out of it, or it changes, not suddenly that coins and earth and all they represent isn't going to be relevant or important anymore. It's like there is a change in it because there is this deep emotional fulfillment and this spiritual stuff going on. It's like it's kind of perhaps what this lacks. In a way, or yeah, I don't know. So the thing that I just kind of wanted to say with all this air and this idea of like clearing the mind, the one pulling through who was trying to increase the probability, it's like the person that they're trying to pull through is already on this path to meet them. Okay, they're already on that path. So they are going to get to the point. But in the other message, it came through as like the ones that were making their way, they had a kind of a particular transition point that wasn't necessarily sort of presenting itself as an obstacle, but it was a period of transition, a point of transition. It was coming through to me visually as a bridge, and they had to go over a bridge, and this other one was on the other side pulling, yeah, like supporting, encouraging, sustaining them, because it was about strengthening them. It was about strengthening them. Because it's like there weren't any kind of obstacles as such on the path. There was this idea of like it was relatively smooth, but there was a transition point, and it was how did it come through? It was like the biggest obstacle was likely to be mindset. So why the other one was trying to pull them through, doing something to kind of really increase the probability or maximize the probability when the probability is already higher than usual, is because it's like the other one maybe had to kind of maintain and sustain a belief in where they were going, or that there was something at that point. Which would be the thing that the other one knew, right? The other one already knows that they're at that future point. It's like they're in someone's future and they know that, but the other one doesn't. Or that's the belief that has to be sustained, right? That was the idea of strengthening them. They're strengthening them. They're communicating something to them. They're doing something. They're pulling them through to sustain that belief. And, right, sustain, like give support and strength to. They're trying to strengthen the belief to make sure that they arrive at their destination. But it's like it was like a bit of a fated path on their way to destination, right? Which the root of that word, Latin, is like destiny, like a kind of a destined point. It's telling you like big spiritual stuff. Hour and 40 minutes. What is happening? So long, man. Okay, so I'm gonna sign off with that. Bless. I hope it helps. I don't know. Okay, bless. Nice one.